smoke another to the face, yeah. She wanna stay. Singing to your bitch like I was Drake, yeah.
Don't just try to tell me you love me. Can't keep it real if you really don't trust me. Come with a real, you hip in the front, so you get my meals. I'm gunning for the money in the bank. Coming with a dank, skirling a tank, rolling with the gang. You sitting out on the sideline tripping, I go to the hole with the rock like Pippin.
Yeah. I'm okay.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. We appreciate you for joining us here. I am Spencer Raxter, Nick in the audio booth, and Chris in the TD booth. We really appreciate you all. Make sure you smash that like button. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, Detroit sports remain undefeated in the year 2025. Pistons getting a win last night against the Brooklyn Nets to stretch their win streak to 5 games. Even without Cade Cunningham performing as you would expect him to, but he didn't need to. He didn't need to. You're going up against a poverty Nets team, a team that is going to be tanking for Cooper Flagg, a team that you should have and could have and did handle without any really controversy. You got some great scoring performances by guys like Fontecchio and Sasser off the bench to keep you afloat. It was the first game of a back-to-back. Obviously, the Pistons playing tonight against the Golden State Warriors. So they let Cade get a little rest. They let him, not get this super high usage rate, not chuck up a whole bunch of shots, so he can be rested and ready to go against a more formidable team in the Golden State Warriors tonight. And personally, I like that. I think that's the sign of good coaching and the sign of a good team that you can do that. Last year, 2 years ago, the Pistons weren't in the position to be able to rest some of their guys going up any team. They were the team that got rested against. Yeah. And now we're able to give Cade a little break when he needs it.
And I think also it's twofold because you got to give credit to Cade Cunningham as well. A lot of these superstar talents look at a team like Brooklyn, Washington, Charlotte, these teams that are at the bottom of the league as chance to inflate their numbers, as to go for 50, to go for 60. And Cade is looking at the long term. He knows that the back-to-back is coming against Golden State, and so he is totally okay with deferring for a game, letting these other guys get going. And he knows also that long term, that is the key, that the more confidence these role players have, the better this team will be, because it is a Cade Cunningham-led show. There is no co-star anymore, not with Ivy gone. So Cade understands putting power to the role players, empowering them. So I love it, but you're right. It is also a credit to JB Bickerstaff as well.
Yeah, it's just amazing what is happening with the Detroit Pistons right now. The Detroit Pistons are above 500 for the first time since 2019. And it sounds sad when you say it like that, but it's just the reality. They have been a poverty franchise, probably the most poverty franchise in the NBA since that year with Blake Griffin. And now Cade Cunningham, JB Bickerstaff, Malik Beasley, and this team created and put together by Trajan Longdon, Trajan Langdon, is out there performing at an extremely high level. Cade Cunningham is playing like an all-NBA player. He is truly an elite 3-level scorer. We saw in the few shots that he did take last night, impressive drives off the dribble, attacking players, finishing around the rim with high level of difficulty. We know his pull-up 3 has been so much better this year. He is one of the best facilitators in the NBA. Check the stats. And the man is a damn good defender on the wing. Cade Cunningham is truly blossoming into a star in the NBA. I'm going to see him on Saturday against the Toronto Raptors. I'm really excited for that. This guy is becoming everything that we thought he would. Everything that we saw in the flashes of him playing for a bad team, playing in bad situations with bad coaching. Now you give him JB Bickerstaff. Trajan Langdon brings in guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley to put around him. Even Tobias Harris, who has stepped up big since Jaden Ivey has been out. And we're seeing Cade Cunningham look like one of the 15 best players in the NBA. So ESPN, you had him at 67 or whatever the fuck that was. He is an all-NBA player this year. He is one of the 15 best players in the NBA. He's the best point guard in the East, and I just love seeing him go out there and play the way he's playing. It's awesome to me. And Donovan Mitchell is amazing too. He's a shooting guard. So don't come at me for that. Donovan Mitchell is a shooting guard.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And I think Little Caesars Arena is going to get wild on Saturday. I know it always gets pretty hostile with Toronto coming into town. Canada travels, so that's a good game to go to for you fellas. But I want to shout out Fontecchio having a good night in Brooklyn,
course he
because
does.
don't let Fontecchio get hot. If we get a little bit
let
of
him get hot.
fettuccine coming back this season, watch out, because these role players are really coming along. We talk about a Hardaway Jr. We talk about a Beasley. But if Fontecchio can step his game up as well coming off the bench, dude, roll out the, you got a really good rotation moving forward to help guys like Cade Cunningham out.
Another shooting big like that off the bench would be huge. And you look, he's been very slow so far this season, but he really picked it up. He hit a couple threes, went down, punched that bitch. Like, dude, Fontecchio was out there balling, and this is
told you boys, sneaky athletic.
that you need. Sneaky athletic. You're right. Lunch pail guy. My brother lives in Brooklyn, New York. Him and his wife live in Brooklyn, New York. They were at the game last night. He said there was like an army of like 12-year-old Pistons fans, like a bunch of. I was like, yeah, it's pretty much all of Pistons Twitter. Yeah. But he also said this guy, OG from Brooklyn, gave Fontecchio the pass. He was like, I don't know who that guy is. He didn't say guy. He said the word I'm not allowed to say. Yeah. He's like, I don't know who he is, but he's valid. He's balling. He gets the pass. I was like, damn, that's hype. We're getting the fettuccine pass. It's Fontecchio. He stepped up big time. And you're going to need, now that Jaden Ivey is out, hopefully he can come back at some point this season. I'm not holding my breath on it. But Jaden Ivey was performing at an extremely high level. He was 17.5 points, I think 4 assists, 4 rebounds, right around there a game. That is a big blow. That is your secondary ball handler. That is the other part of your offense that can create offense. So guys like Tobias Harris, who has stepped up, guys like Malik Beasley, who have been solid all year, and now Fontecchio, who is budding and had his first really good game of the season. You like to see other guys stepping up when you lose Ivy. That is a sign of a good coaching staff. That is a sign of a deep roster. And that is all credit to Trajan Langdon and to JB Bickerstaff.
And again, too, $14 million in cap space. Something is going to be used. And I don't expect this to do what the Troy Weaver era did, which is just take $14 million of garbage money in Joe Harris. I believe it was even higher. I believe it was like 17 or 18. Like, he is going to get you a player that just another team is not willing to pay that price for that player. And I think they're going to get some type of good rotational piece. Maybe even something really, really big, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Get into that in a minute. There are some words out there. And
some rumblings.
One more guy I wanted to shout out was Marcus Sasser. He did a great game. I don't know what his role is going to be long term in the Pistons. He's definitely going to be an NBA player because he plays good defense. He's got quick hands. He could shoot from deep, and he's stepped up now. Like I said, he is your backup point guard now. I guess he always technically has been, but when I mean backup point guard, I mean the guy that's going to run the offense when Cade's not on the floor, and that was Jaden Ivey. And now with Jaden Ivey being gone, it's on Marcus Sasser to run the offense when Cade Cunningham isn't on the floor, and he's doing a good job at it. Yeah. So shout out to him.
That's where we need Sasser to step up, is because the thing with him has never been a doubt of the defense or the shooting. It's been, can you run an offense? Now, last night it was Brooklyn, but he looked competent. So as long as he can continue to bring that playmaking edge to that backup point guard position, then he will be a very valuable piece for the Pistons or whoever he plays with long term. But the defense and the shooting, you don't doubt at all.
No.
So I love Sasser, and I love that JB is the guy to coach Sasser.
Yes.
That is a JB Bickerstaff kind of player. So
100%.
You love that. So I'm happy for him. It feels like he's definitely getting this opportunity to earn himself an NBA future, whether it is with Detroit or elsewhere. So I'm happy for the guy. That is the one blessing in disguise of Ivey's injuries, that he's able to take advantage of it.
Phil, relax. Easy's not dying. He's just sick.
Yeah.
He'll be back maybe next week. I don't know. But appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure you smash the like button. Appreciate you joining in. Get your super chats in there. We'll do the goal $10 super chats, and if we'll get the JMO burger.
Okay.
$10
right.
super chats. We'll get the JMO burger.
We lowered it for you guys. Come on, man. We put the bar in the
we lowered it for you guys.
We're not going lower, though. That burger's nasty. We're not going lower.
No, it's got to be the McRib.
Easy's dealing with a little flu stuff. He's not deathly ill or anything like that. He wasn't able. He said he's feeling better today, but still not enough to come in. So we'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Probably not. Definitely next week. Speaking of sick, Asar Thompson dealing with maybe Easy got Asar sick. We don't know. He could be public enemy number one for the Pistons. He got Asar Thompson sick, but he is I don't know if
Probable.
they've
He's
officially said.
probable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said probable. I don't know if they've officially said in or out yet. But the last I saw was he was probable. So hopefully Asar Thompson can play, because talk about playmaker, talk about defense, that's a guy that you could definitely use in this matchup against the Golden State Warriors. You're going to need bodies to throw at Steph Curry, and he's a guy that could chase around Steph Curry. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk more Pistons. Obviously, they deserve it. Some rumors out there about a former the state of Michigan basketball player that could possibly be on the move in the NBA. We're going to talk about that and see if the Pistons could
put your tinfoil hats
throw
on.
their hat into the ring there. But first, before we get into the Pistons and all that, the Tigers made some moves today. The Tigers signed Skubal, Mize, Olsen, and Vierling, all to avoid, or not Olsen. It was it Reese Olsen, or was it?
They did the catcher, Jake Rogers.
What's his name?
Rogers.
It was Rogers too, but the Foley.
Will Vest and Foley.
Will Vest and Foley. Yeah, it was Foley, not Olsen. I wrote down Olsen. I meant Foley. Skubal, Mize, Foley, Vierling, Jake Rogers, and Will Vest all got signed to arbitration. So 1-year deals to make sure they're a part of this team next year at the very least. I mean, I'm cool with that. I'd like to see, obviously, Skubal get locked down to a long-term deal, but that gives you a year to hopefully get that done and hopefully be in trade talks, or not trade talks, Jesus, be in contract talks, and hopefully they get him done on a long-term deal. We'll see, though. I'm getting less confident in the day that Tariq Skubal will be a Tiger long-term.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
This is a whole nothing burger. I mean, yeah, obviously you're going to re-sign every single one of these guys. The reason you can do this is because they're in your organization, and this is what they're actually fairly deserved, which, I mean, fairly deserved. I think Skubal should have got like $20 million. I mean, luckily they settled on 10, but because he's not due up to be a free agent he is due up after the next 2 years. But yeah, this is a thing where Skubal, man, you got to get the deal done. I don't blame Skubal at all. Hold out for your bag, and we have to be able to pay up. And Chris Ilitch hasn't paid for anything this offseason besides Alex goddamn Cobb, and I thought was a good swing on a guy like Gleyber Torres, who has the potential, former All-Star, big-time prospect when he first came up. But, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if Chris Ilitch is going to pull out the bag. It is getting later and later, but the market is kind of, shaping up where the Tigers are still in it for a guy like Alex Bregman.
Yep.
You've heard rumors today where Arenado could be open for a trade. He's old. I think I would rather have Bregman for sure, and you wouldn't have to trade anything. So let's see if Chris Ilitch can finally do so. I've been waiting all offseason for a move.
Yeah.
I got a little excited about Gleyber, but, it's getting to that time where, pitchers and catchers reporting soon, fellas. So let's see what happens. I mean, do you have any expectations he'll make a move here to upgrade this offense?
I think they're going to get Bregman. I do. I don't know why. I just feel like if you're Chris Ilitch and you're the owner of this team, which you are, you have to have some kind of level of respect for A.J. Hinch and what he did last year. And that would be proven by them signing Alex Bregman. He's been vocal. It has been no shade about how much that A.J. Hinch wants Bregman on this team, how much Bregman fits into this organization, locker room, and just in the lineup. Like, he's exactly what we need as a leader with playoff experience. He's exactly what we need as a right-handed bat with power that you can put in the middle of the lineup and a third baseman. So I think the writing's on the wall, kind of, that I think Chris Ilitch has to do this, or I would be worried about A.J. Hinch and his tenure as a Detroit Tigers head coach.
Pizza, bitch.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah,
we need to keep the Skip happy, man. He gave you that miracle season. He gave you that miracle season being a Wizard, him and Chris Fetter. So you got to keep the Skip happy and get him the one guy that he wants. It's not like he's asking you to go sign Juan Soto to $500 million. He's asking you to give a competitive contract to a guy that would make you the AL Central champions, in my mind.
Yeah, there's no excuses. You have such a stacked prospect system, but you have to insulate these young guys with real proven hitters. This is what I wanted last year. We didn't do it. I mean, 7-WAR player Matt Chapman would have been pretty damn good right now.
Would have been nice.
Would have been nice. Now you don't have to pay extra money for this year for a Bregman, but We got a super chat. You want to read that?
Yeah, shout out Detroit Supremacy in the super chat. He says, "Is Easy ducking the golf apology segment? The people are talking." No, I don't think so. I don't know. You know, we've heard a lot of stuff about Easy. I've also heard that he has been hanging out late night with Ben Johnson.
Eat the clock up, baby.
So that's crazy. Allegedly,
I didn't know you were gonna say Ben Johnson. I had it queued up.
Allegedly, him and Ben Johnson have been spending late
Easy,
nights together doing debauchery on the town. We know what Easy gets into, but yeah, we'll see if it is that. But no, Easy's he's sick, man. And
yeah, he is.
I'm glad he's not coming in here because I hate being sick. Him and Chris get sick more than anybody I know.
All right, dude, that's cap. Like I got sick a couple times over the course of like 3 years.
One of you guys, I swear, one of you guys is sick every week. So
no, that's not true. And each time, I swear to you, it came from Easy. It's nowhere else. But Easy's been sick several times, and I haven't been sick. So like, Easy's immune system is weak.
And
mine is like moderate.
Can we do someone? I don't want to do it, but can somebody find out who's supposed to be in the hot dog suit? I feel like Easy should get it by default now. If it truly was between you and Easy,
I believe it was, honestly, and I'm only
all
saying
of our
that
picks
just
were
because,
really close. I know that.
Yeah, I know I faded a lot though.
Yeah, you did fade a lot.
I was on some islands.
I know my lock hit, and I know I had
my lock
Baltimore. I couldn't tell you the rest of them.
Yeah,
I locked the
Baltimore
Lions,
covered
I think
for
so.
me. We all had the Lions.
I locked them.
You locked the Lions. Yeah, it's true.
My anti-Vikings
true.
lock.
Yeah.
Let's go. And hey, also, what a time right now to not be a Vikings fan. Let's fucking go, boys.
Easy
Fuck
does
the
have
Vikings.
kids, and yeah, they are germ factories, and that he's blaming his sister's kid. So I mean, but let's get into it. We're going to talk about a potential trade target for the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, sir.
Are things heating up? We'll see. But first, let me tell you about Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work out in a judgment-free atmosphere with a friendly, knowledgeable staff that'll help you anytime you need. And you can get fitness training for no extra cost, 30-minute workout in the 30-minute circuit, all of that for just $15 a month. If you want the black card, upgrade to that and get the use of amenities like hydro massage, total body enhancement, and access to over 2,500 locations worldwide. Join in club or online at planetfitness.com. Planet Fitness, where fitness is essential.
Back-to-back NFC North Division champions. The Detroit Lions are playoff bound and ready to eat the kneecaps of anyone standing in our way. Follow Woodward Sports as we cover the best season in Detroit Lions history. Go Lions!
Talk about pressure, we live in pressure. That's where we freaking thrive. You did it again.
From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Head on over to woodwardsports.com. Click that shop tab today. Get the best Detroit sports merch in the game. New shirts, hats, hoodies, tees, all that at woodwardsports.com. Go ahead and hit that shop tab today and get yourself some fly new merch.
What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. And remember, we get 9 more super chats of $10 or more. The crew will do the JMO Burger Challenge. And if you don't know what that is, Jameson Williams gets McDoubles from McDonald's, and he puts McFlurry in between it, and he eats it. I mean, if it helps him run that fast, keep doing it, J-Mo. Love you, brother. Love the Rotel on the hot Cheetos. That's good stuff. But
I think I'm trying that one tonight.
it's really good. like I said, I used to eat hot Cheetos and cheese every day in high school. But let's get into something else. We're talking about the Pistons a little bit here, and there's been some rumors out there that Devin Booker, noted fan of Detroit sports, noted former Michigan athlete, loves the Pistons, loves the Red Wings. They're saying that he might not finish the season with the Suns.
Yeah.
I would first like to know, what is his contract? Is he on the last year of his contract?
He is not. He just signed an extension. Give me a moment to look that up. I believe he's got a couple years left on his deal. I believe it's 27. He's a free agent. And
Chris wants to throw the Pistons hat in the ring there because he's had this grand theory for a while that's going to happen, that's going to get done, that Devin Booker will be a Detroit Piston.
I want it.
Is there any validity to that, or is that just throwing darts at the wall here? Could you see the Pistons actually making a move on him?
There is, and there's several layers to it. Just to clarify, his contract does take him through the 27-28 season. So he's got 4 years, including this year, on his contract. But there's real validity to why the Suns would do it and why the Pistons would do it, because you can't look at this as a fan, right? You can't sit here and just be like, oh yeah, the Pistons should get Devin Booker, and they just give him to us because he used to go to Detroit and he loves Detroit. No, you got to look at it logically. And something interesting happened this summer. Look at who's number 2 in the West. Phoenix is number 12. They are at the bottom of the West. They are looking as a team outside the play-in tournament. They just benched Beal and Nurkic. But you know who's number 2?
Crazy.
Number 2 in the West currently, right now, is the Houston Rockets. And what did the Houston Rockets do this summer? They made a trade with the Brooklyn Nets. And in that trade, they gave Brooklyn their picks back. But what did they get in return? They got Phoenix's future draft picks. So we all know that Houston is a team that has a bunch of young guys, bunch of talented young guys that they're not going to be able to afford to pay all of them, nor are they able to give them all the minutes. You got Cam Whitmore pouting on the bench after dropping 18 points and walking off and not dapping up anybody. Like, that just happened a couple days ago. Yeah. So you got an issue of too many mouths to feed there. A lot of young talent. You got Amin, you got Sengun, Jalen Green, all these young talented guys surrounded with vets. And Udoka, a coach that wants to win right now. This is a perfect team dying to make a trade for a veteran to win the championship. And Kevin Durant would fit perfectly with this roster. So if you're Phoenix, you call them, you say, hey, give us our draft picks back so we can tank properly, and 1 or 2 of your young guys that we really like. And then, boom, you're Kevin Durant. Your Kevin Durant is in Houston.
Durant to Houston. Okay.
Yes, because that has to happen in order for Booker. Because you're not giving up on these guys, to be clear. This is a last resort. If you're
you got to blow it up.
Yeah, you have to blow it up. And you're not going to blow it up without your own draft picks. So step 1, you got to get your draft picks back. And then that frees them up to trade Booker for the absolute bounty that they could get, whatever any team is willing to offer. But the good thing about the Pistons is the 2 teams that could really seriously outbid them, the Utah Jazz, they are tanking.
Or the Thunder.
They don't want it. And the Thunder are in the midst of a historic season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're making a move like that, especially not at the deadline. But I don't think they'd even make that in the offseason. I really don't think they'd make that
What
move.
would the Pistons be able to offer them, though? Because, I mean, you're not getting Devin Booker for less than 4 first-round picks. Do the Pistons have that in the war chest?
So that's where it gets tricky for Detroit, is that it's a lot easier to do in the offseason when that pick conveys to New York as expected, because that pick is top, I believe, 14 protected or whatever. So as long as you make the playoffs, you're good, and that pick will convey. So that frees up a lot for Detroit in terms of picks. However, you can make trades. You're not completely hindered by that draft pick. You can trade some really far out future first, which is obviously very, very enticing and valuable. And you do have a plethora of young guys that people are high around the league. People are high on Jalen Duren. People are high on Jay Ivey. People are high on Nassar. People are high on Ron Holland. Now, the question becomes, what what of those guys are you trying to keep? Who are you prioritizing to keep? And so that's where it becomes tricky. But things are aligning for Detroit in a perfect way. The teams that can outbid you don't necessarily have the desire to make that move. And Houston being number 2, that's where it starts. That's the catalyst, because Phoenix has to get their own draft picks back. They're not blowing it up without their draft picks, because then you're in this weird Brooklyn Nets situation.
Yeah, and I see that, and I just don't see it happen, because it's not going to happen in the offseason. If they're blowing it up, they're blowing it up now. They're blowing it up at the deadline, and they're going to get the most they can from it. And the Pistons can't offer them enough to get Devin Booker right now. And if it comes to the offseason, I don't think the Oklahoma City Thunder would be worried about what's happening last year, and they would have more than the Pistons. So, I mean, it's nice to think about, and it's cool that we're in this situation to be like, okay, maybe we're a star away from being an actual contender for the East, but I don't think this is the time. I don't think the timelines match up for the Pistons and for Devin Booker. Like it was projected for him, if he is moved before the deadline this year, it's not going to be the Pistons. Yeah, and I could see them moving Booker to Houston and staying with Kevin Durant, moving him in the summer. I don't know. I think you got what you got. And if you're going to be a buyer at the deadline, which I would like to see that. I don't want to see them be sellers. I don't want to see them trade Malik Beasley or anybody like that. I think it's going to be for an ancillary piece. I don't think they're going to go out and get a star.
And this team is 3 games under 500. Like Matt Ishbia, the last thing this guy wants to do is put all of this money into the Phoenix Suns and then just trade all of their superstars. Chris, I love you, but I think this one's a pipe dream. I mean, how would it get done from the Pistons side? I think you got to give up Ivy, right? Is that the core deal in the piece? Core piece of the deal?
I think you're giving up multiple young prospects because you can't offer them 6 picks. You can offer them only 2 to 3. And you can offer them completely unprotected and far out in the future. So that's very, very valuable. When you're giving up picks in 2031, when that is past Cade's contract and Booker's contract, that's extremely risky, but that's extremely enticing to a team like Phoenix, a team that would be
not as enticing as all of these picks that other teams have that they can give you right now, like the Nets or the Thunder or the Jazz. And I think those are the teams that you're looking at realistically. If you're going to trade a superstar in the season, you're not doing it for 4th graders. Like you're going to go out there and you're going to get, especially when you need to rebuild, like Nick said, your new owner that just paid all of this money. If he's blowing it up, he's not going to tell his fan base, hey, you're going to have to wait until 2032. Like I don't know. I like the idea, and I can see the little silver lining of how it could possibly happen, but I just don't think it's in the air.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're a gambling man, it's more likely it doesn't happen than does. But there's a lot of things leading to it, and again, beauty is also in the eye of the beholder. But I'm with you. Ishbia just said F all the penalties of the luxury tax and all that. He overspent. So again, this all comes down to Kevin Durant and Booker going to him and being like, look, we want to get traded. You saw Brooklyn at the last trade deadline blow it up, and that's what landed Kevin Durant in Phoenix. It would have to take the Stars leveraging their power and Ishbia folding, which again, we don't know if he's going to do that. He is a new governor in the NBA. Governor in the NBA. So, but again, if they really value a guy like Duren or Ivy or Asar or Holland, whichever prospects they look at, I think you're right. This team isn't, contending with Devin Booker and Cade, but you could build a contender around Cade and Booker, who you have for multiple years, if you're able to make this deal.
Yeah, you would be able, but they're not. They're not going to. They're not going to make this deal. It's not going to happen. Devin Booker will not be traded to the Pistons this year. Devin Booker will not be traded to the Pistons next year. It's just, if you had your pick, if you had more picks, like a war chest, then yeah, it would be very possible. It would be very reasonable, but you just don't have the assets right now to do it. And I don't want to say this like I don't want Devin Booker, but I'd personally like a 4 or 5 more than a 2. I think with what you have, I think a 4 or 5 would be more valuable. But if you're getting Devin Booker, you're getting Devin Booker. But it's not going to happen. I would be extremely surprised if the Pistons were even brought up, other than to be possibly a team to get a throwaway piece, like a third-party team to get. And if that's what you're talking, if you're talking the Rockets are trading for Devin Booker and they need a third team to be a part of the deal, I would love to see the Pistons get involved
Cam
there.
Whitmore. Get Cam Whitmore out of it. Get one of those young guys that Houston has. That's absolutely an avenue that I think Trajan is exploring. But I do think there is real merit to it. I think it'd be a much more likely off-season thing than it would be currently at the deadline. But
DNC ENT in the Woodward Sports Chat says, do y'all know the penalties of the second apron? You can't just say fuck the text. Yes, we are familiar.
Yes.
We went over it multiple times when it first came out.
And
I'm not saying they're just going to sit on it,
yeah,
but they're not trading him to the Pistons. They're not. The Pistons aren't going to trade for Devin Booker.
Yeah,
Phil in the Woodward Sports Chat with a super chat. Shout out to him. Says for Easy's child so he can have a McRib. So yeah. Shout out to B. Hopefully he gets that McRib.
This is obviously shooting for the stars here, fellas, when it comes to Devin Booker. This is one of the biggest superstars in the NBA. Chris, do you see something that's a lot smaller than this but can still help this team ultimately compete in the playoffs, not just, get in there?
Yes, absolutely. Like, I do think that either Phoenix or Houston or Miami, one of these teams is going to make a big move, and I could definitely see the Pistons getting involved in that and getting a rotation piece. Like I said, Cam Whitmore, Haywood Highsmith off of Miami. I had that list a couple weeks ago, so there's definitely players for the Pistons to get, and I think that's a more realistic approach. However, I do think there is some merit to this going forward. It's a pipe dream, but it feels like it's possible.
That's what I'm looking at this year at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You're going to be the other guy in a trade. You're going to be the team that takes on a piece, like when we saw Jared Allen go to the Cavs for nothing out of a trade. Something
Awesome
like
move.
that. Awesome move. Something like that.
Home run.
Whether it be the Jimmy Butler trade, whether it be a Suns trade, if it's KD or if it's Bradley Beal or Devin Booker to someone else, I would like to see the Pistons get their noses in there because I don't want to sell. We're not selling.
Yeah, I don't
We're
think
not
so.
selling. You're keeping
Hell
your guys,
no.
and hopefully you can grab another piece.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can grab another piece.
And hopefully they can re-sign Beasley. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
Do not
I would
sell
love
Beasley.
to see them
Like,
re-sign Beasley.
Fuck no.
Wait, we don't love you like I love. Keep the shimmy in Detroit, damn it.
Keep it.
We got more Pistons to talk about because this defense, man. This defense under JB Bickerstaff has looked damn good so far this year, and especially with Asar coming back and Stu coming back, they're only going to get better defensively. We got to talk about that coming up. But first, tell us about Feldman.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest you. And catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Monday. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and WoodwardSports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs. Like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Congratulations to the real coach of the year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
On game days, make sure you check out Woodward and Maine with insights from Detroit sports media legend Terry Foster and rising star Matt Broder. And after that, make sure you check out the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame show live from Second Best Bar in Detroit with Neil Rule and Sean Belegian on game days. Make sure you come check out the pregame show. It's an absolute party over at Second Best. Great food, great drinks, brought to you by New Holland Brewing Company.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights Live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. Appreciate you for joining. I am Spencer Raxter. He is Nicholas Kohloff. He is Chris Platte. We're talking Pistons, and we're talking another segment of Pistons because this team is on a 5-game winning streak. They're over 500 for the first time since 2019, and Cade motherfucking Cunningham is playing like a top 15 player in the NBA. We talked about potential trade suitors, a kind of a reach for the moon trade for Devin Booker that we really don't expect to happen, but there is a very narrow pathway for it to happen. But you look at one thing that is happening, one thing that is currently happening, and one thing you can see happening, and that is the defense of this team being on another level than it was last year. You knew that was going to happen under JB Bickerstaff. Right now, they're the 13th ranked defense in the NBA. They're the first ranked defense in the NBA in the year 2025. Small sample size, I know, but still, hey, I'm taking my dubs when I can. You knew you were going to get this. This is what JB Bickerstaff does. If you play on a JB Bickerstaff team, you play defense. This is a guy that took over the Grizzlies in 2017 in the middle of the season. He brought them from the 22nd ranked defense in the NBA to the 7th ranked defense in the NBA mid-season. That's what he does. That's his calling card, and I love to see it out of this Pistons team. You've got multiple guys who have the potential to be all NBA defenders on this team when you look at Ausar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland, and Cade Cunningham. And they are playing to that level. Ausar, hopefully back tonight would be huge for that defensive prowess. Ron Holland has stepped in and played great as a rookie. Defensively, he hasn't missed a step. The freak athletes between those two guys, their lateral quickness and size helps them get in passing lanes, helps them deny defenders at the rim. And speaking of denying defenders at the rim, Isaiah Stewart is one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. He has been for a couple years now. If you look at a field goal percentage at the rim against Isaiah Stewart when he is the closest defender, it is one of the lowest in the NBA. That is up there with the Rudy Goberts, with all of those guys, the Wembanyamas, anybody that you can think of that protects the rim at a high level in the NBA. Isaiah Stewart is there or better than when he is the primary defender at the rim. And then you've got Cade Cunningham leading this team on the defensive side of the ball at the well, calling out screens, doing different things. It is so impressive to see how revitalized they are this year under JB Bickerstaff. He has them playing hard. He had Ivy playing damn good defense as well, which we all expected he could be because of his quickness and his length. He could be a good perimeter defender. You didn't really see it under Monty Williams. You didn't see Ivy much under Monty Williams, but JB had him playing well. And then even last night, Tobias Harris gives you a couple steals and a couple blocks that were big in that game. So I just love what we're seeing. This is what Detroit basketball is built on. It's playing tough defense and hitting timely buckets, and they're back to those roots under JB Bickerstaff.
Absolutely. And just to go over some numbers, give it a smaller sample size, because the Pistons are 8-2 in their last 10 games. So if you go back 10 games, which goes a little bit back to the end of 2024, they are fourth lowest, in points in the paint allowed, meaning they are doing a great job at keeping teams out of the paint, protecting the rim. That is mainly an Isaiah Stewart thing, which I'm glad you brought him up. Also, they've been top 5 in defensive rebounds and 6th in second chance points allowed. So they're just doing all the fundamental things you need defensively, which is protect the rim, rebound the ball so they don't get second chance points. Those two things are essential to a good defense. You'd be amazed at how much just cleaning up those two take you defensively. It's been a long way. And perimeter-wise, they've been okay. That's where the weakness is in their defense. A lot of teams have been shooting pretty well against Detroit, but you can also chalk some of that up to luck. Watching that Portland game, I don't think a lot of those threes were necessarily good quality shots. Those were just teams making tough shots.
Anthony Simmons couldn't miss, dude. He was on fire.
So I mean, you love it, JB Bickerstaff. This is his calling card. We love what we're seeing here, and you know what? And I will say, Jalen Duren's numbers have improved defensively. They're still not where you want them to be, because Isaiah Stewart is 6 inches shorter than Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, and all those people you put him in. But he is defending because he has that will. So you'd like to see Jalen Duren get there. but there is some progress there, so I have to give him some credit. And I think that directly correlates with this team being 8-2 on a 5-game winning streak.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And if Isaiah Stewart can stay healthy and play the rest of the year, he will be an all-NBA defensive player this year. Like, that is the level we're seeing him perform at. Osor obviously has that potential as well, and I would say he could this year too if he stays healthy, because these guys are demons out there, man. And Ron Holland, the rookie as well, just you see the vision with what Trajan Langdon wants.
Absolutely.
And even a couple of these guys being Troy Weaver guys, but the length, the switchability, the effort defensively, and just the absolute insane athleticism you get between guys like Osor Thompson and Ron Holland, it's tough for any team to go up against that. When you got guys that you're being defended by Osor Thompson for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and he checks out, you're like, oh, thank God. And then you got Ron Holland coming in here, and he's doing the same thing. So you love to see these guys buying into JB Bickerstaff's defensive philosophy, and it is no doubt in my mind it's the driving force to them winning these games. Like, that was the biggest, other than the poor shooting, the defense was the reason they lost 28 games in a row.
Absolutely. And that's why it's essential, because we talked about it. This team is full of role players, streaky shooters. Tim Hardaway has his nights and has his bad nights. Same with Malik Beasley, same with Fontecchio, same with Tobias, all different ranges, but all of these guys are inconsistent. We don't have a consistent true scorer next to Cade Cunningham. So that means you have to win these games defensively. JB Bickerstaff understands that, is putting his team in a good position. That's good coaching. That's good leadership. You love to see it. Nick, where are you at with the Pistons defensively and just their recent success?
I think, I want to hop all the way on board. I do think the philosophy's there, but you also have to look at, during this specific 5-game winning streak, we've played the Magic with no Paolo and no Franz. Mm-hmm. We've played the Hornets without LaMelo Ball. You got the Trailblazers and the Brooklyn Nets, and then the one good game was the Timberwolves, where, you're going up against Anthony Edwards. He dropped 50, but it didn't matter because you still won the game. So I don't want to overreact too hard yet, but I think they are going in the right direction with the defensive philosophy. So that's where I'm impressed. But this 5-game sample, to me, I'm not going to overreact to, but it is heading in the right direction compared to, like, last year. Like, there was no defensive effort ever. No. Jumping for loose balls. It wasn't there. So to see this from the Detroit Pistons team, that's how I know the point is getting home, because the effort's there. And that's what matters most to me, that we hadn't seen in the last, not just last year, but the last 5 seasons.
And last word on this before we go to break. Dante151, I see your super chat. I'm going to read it after break because that ties in very well to the segment that we're going to do after that. But I just want to say that when I look at Cade Cunningham, Osor Thompson, and Ron Holland, I'm saying as quickly as next year, you will have to put them in top 3 when you talk about trios of perimeter defenders in the NBA. I think you're talking about the Pistons, the Timberwolves, and the Knicks. When you look at Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart, you look at Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Anthony Edwards, and then you look at Cade Cunningham, Ron Holland, and Osar Thompson. I think they're going to be in those conversations. Those guys are demons. Cade's a 6'7" point guard with length and can move his feet. Like, what are we talking about? And then you got the 2 athletic freaks on the other. I just love it. I love defense when it comes to basketball in all sports. And that trio of perimeter defenders next year, as quickly as next year, is going to be as good as it gets in the NBA.
Yeah. And quickly before we go to break, just Cade Cunningham defensively, I know there's been some talks about it slipping, but you got to understand the offensive burden this man has, especially with no Ivy. So he's still performing pretty well defensively, but he does have some slip-ups here and there. But again, when you are charged with being the single sole creator on offense, that there's going to be a cost to that. You can't do both sides of the ball consistently. But he's shown that he has the ability to do it when he doesn't have a high workload. So going forward, it is absolutely fair to continue to project Cade as a great defender. I know that I just brought that up because I know some people want to push back on the Cade Cunningham defense and not give him praise.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some Lions, and everybody's flirting with our guys. I don't like that. Everybody's flirting with our guys. We're hearing Hank Fraley,
the
Deshae
new hot broad in
Townsend,
town.
everybody wants a piece of this Dan Campbell coaching tree. We're going to get into that next. But first, let me tell you about Dr. Pierce. Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts, Dr. Jeff Pierce, here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts, Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Do you want to know where the best pregame Lions party is for the divisional round?
Would I?
Join us at Detroit's very own second best bar, located at 42 Watson Street, for the ultimate fan experience. Enjoy your bye week, then come enjoy some smooth Tullamore Irish whiskey while catching the Woodward Sports pregame show. Talking about your top-seeded Lions. Only at second best bar in Detroit. Come get some.
Come get some, baby. What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights Live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. For Nick, for Chris, I am Spencer. We are the Heavyweights. Appreciate you joining us. Dante151 threw a super chat in there before we went to break, and it plays perfectly into our next topic about these Detroit Lions and their coaching staff and what's going on around the league. Dante151 says, via the NFL Network, Aaron Glenn declines on meeting with the Patriots, but he is set to talk with other teams, so you wonder what turned Glenn off from meeting the Patriots. It is 100% that they fired Mayo the way they did. That is the reason Aaron Glenn will not interview with the Patriots. He's a former defensive guy himself, a former player. He doesn't fuck with that. Mayo got hosed over there, man, and that he just saw that happen. So he's not going to go into that situation that's as ugly as it is right now with a team that will fire you the next year if you don't perform. No. But on top of Aaron Glenn, who I think it comes down to, Aaron Glenn is either going to be the Jets head coach next year or he's going to be the Saints head coach next year. I don't think any of these other interviews are really too much to worry about, but he's gone either way. You hear Chris Spielman getting interviews. You hear Hank Fraley getting OC interviews from Seattle. You see Ben Johnson getting head coaching interviews all over the place, from New England to the Jets to wherever you want. If they have a head coaching vacancy, they're going to call Ben Johnson to see if they can get an interview with him. And of course, I just heard Deshae Townsend getting an interview with Seattle for their vacant defensive coordinator position. And I don't like that. I like Deshae Townsend, and I would like to see him be possibly the Lions defensive coordinator maybe. But we're going to see. Which one of these guys will keep it to Spielman, Fraley, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn? They're all taking interviews. Which one of those guys would hurt the most if they departed? Oof. That's the question. And for me, the answer is clear, but it also sucks because it's Aaron Glenn. My answer is Aaron Glenn. I think that would hurt the most if and when he departs from the Detroit Lions. We saw what he's done this year with fighting through the injuries, battling through the injuries, and have this defense still perform as it is. We saw that singular game plan he pulled up against the Minnesota Vikings and how much it shut them down. I think Aaron Glenn would hurt the most, and I think he's going to hurt the most because I think the writing's on the wall for him to be either the Jets or the Saints head coach next year. I'm leaning more towards Saints, but either one of those I think is in play. And not to throw any shade on Ben Johnson, I just have a lot of faith in Tanner Strand and what he'll be able to do with the weapons you have, with all the pieces you have in that offense. I think Tanner Strand will be able to keep the ship afloat for sure. But Aaron Glenn leaving is going to be huge, man. And I think that will hurt. Also, if Aaron Glenn leaves, he's taking one of these guys with him. Whoever you decide to not promote to defensive coordinator, whether it be Kelvin Shepard, Deshae Townsend, or Terrell Williams, I think those are going to be the three options of guys you look inside the organization that will possibly be the next defensive coordinator after Aaron Glenn leaves. He's going to take one of those guys to be his DC, no matter where he goes. So, Nick, we'll start with you. Out of Spielman, Fraley, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn, which loss would be felt the most?
I think you're spot on with the Aaron Glenn thing, but I'm going to attack this from a different angle because we've seen this offense be so elite with Ben Johnson, and we know he has the horses, and they're all thoroughbreds when it comes down to it. He has all pro bowlers, and he has a stacked offensive line. But the guy that's running that offensive line is a guy in Hank Fraley.
Yeah.
And we've seen Jared Goff so comfortable in the pocket and the schemes, and Frank Ragnow knows every call that's coming his way. And you see these guys get massive pushes off of the line. You see DeMont take another step when he got to Detroit. You see Jahmyr Gibbs, widely
49ers.
Regarded as a top 10 running back or top 10 player in the league right now. Jahmyr Gibbs, that's where he is.
Real quick, Nick, sorry. I just Steve DeYoung said at Townsend interview with the 49ers for the DC. Yeah, I said Seattle. I meant 49ers. My bad.
Top 10 player in the league, Jahmyr Gibbs right now. Hank Fraley has all of these things going. This offense is so good. Yes, Ben Johnson is extremely creative, but this is all able to happen because of the offensive line. I think losing Hank Fraley is going to sting just as much as I think maybe a Ben Johnson would.
Hank Fraley's going with Ben Johnson wherever he goes.
That scares the shit out of me.
It's
cost of doing business. You better win the Super Bowl, and I think they will.
It's the cost of doing business for sure.
Yeah, I'm also with you on Aaron Glenn just because Goff has had so many years with Ben Johnson in the system that he is going to, whether it is Tanner Strand or somebody else, he's going to be able to sit him down and say, look, watch this tape. You see what works. Like, the proof is in the pudding. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier for them to maintain that high offense, that high caliber offense. But we talked about Aaron Glenn being this guy that, this defense is so depleted, and he still finds ways to muster up a great defense. What is Anzalone going to look like without Aaron Glenn? That's a very real question.
Yeah.
That's a very real and fair question. Aaron Glenn has done such a great job with these guys, and especially these young secondaries that we just took in Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. I would love for them to get multiple years of molding under a guy like Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
So it's just... And it's tough.
I need you guys to take a step back in the Woodward Sports Chat. Everybody that's disrespecting Ben Johnson and saying it's easy to replace him, or he doesn't even do too much, or it doesn't matter if he's here or not.
Just sits on his ass.
That's just fucking stupid. Like, stop. You could say you're not that worried about it and not be just completely idiotic and disrespectful about it. I'm not as worried about it because of Tanner Strand, and he's been learning under Ben Johnson. He's got a lot of tutelage from Ben Johnson, and he is going to be able to keep this offense afloat. Ben Johnson is the best play caller in the NFL. Ben Johnson is the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. It's not an easy thing to replace. So stop acting like it is. That's embarrassing. But I think that this guy... Aaron Glenn, man, it sucks. It sucks because I honestly think Ben Johnson's going to stay, personally. But Aaron Glenn, I'm almost 100% sure that he's going to. If he doesn't, I would be very surprised.
Yeah. I mean, if word gets out about what Aaron Glenn does outside of football, maybe he will stay.
Yeah, maybe we got to start thinking.
We got to run a multi-level smear campaign.
I don't think we could smear Aaron Glenn enough for him to not get a head coaching job.
I feel you. So let me ask you this, then, Spencer, because you posed a great question earlier about the fact that Aaron Glenn is going to take one of those three guys with him. Which one of those three guys Aaron Glenn taking would hurt the most? Because you saw the acquisition of Terrell Williams and what that has done for this defensive line when it was fully healthy. You've seen Kelvin Shepard, be awesome with that linebacking room. So
yeah,
who is it that would hurt the most of Aaron Glenn taking with him?
I think Deshae Townsend, honestly, because I think Terrell Williams is going to be the next defensive coordinator if Aaron Glenn leaves. I think Deshae Townsend would hurt the most because obviously that's Aaron Glenn's specialty is the secondary. That's where he's fighting. Deshae Townsend has done a great job with this secondary compared to Dre Bly last year. And obviously the talent is there too, but still, I think him with this secondary, you finally got a good secondary. I think you want to keep Deshae Townsend the most out of him or Calvin Shepard, personally.
And extending that to the offensive side of the ball in the guys of Hank Fraley, the Tanner Strands, like where are you looking at as removing the Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn equation from it? Who are you kind of the people that
Hank
you're
Fraley.
most important?
It would be Hank, because again, I think Tanner Strand is the heir apparent. Like he's probably going to be the next offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions if Ben Johnson leaves, if he doesn't get a job somewhere else before that. But Hank Fraley would hurt for sure because he's big in the run game. He's obviously the offensive line coach. He knows this very complex run game very well, and that is a piece that would hurt to see go.
Okay.
We've seen this a lot in the NFL, and its head coaches getting fired, going back to their roots, becoming an OC or a DC. Would it worry you if we go outside of the organization because we're all expecting a hire from within for these new OC and DC spots? Would it worry you at all moving forward?
No, it wouldn't worry. Nothing this organization could do would worry me. If Brad Holmes says, hey, we're going to go get Rob Saleh as your defensive coordinator, sounds good. Like I would not be worried about that at all. I think they're going to make the right decision no matter what it is. But I would be surprised if they went outside of the organization. I really think that they've shown that this is what they do. They've shown they like to keep in-house guys in-house, and you have a lot of very good candidates if your coordinators decide to leave.
Yeah.
I think the writing's on the wall for everybody to get hired from within, but I do, you saw it with Cliff Kingsbury, going to the Commanders, taking their OC job, and just Jaden Daniels looks like an absolute stud in his first year, so you never know what's going to happen, but I do like our options if these guys were to leave.
Yeah, I think some of the best options we have for these positions, if they get vacated, are already here. And you can see that by them getting interviews already. And I think we talked about it a little bit about Terrell Williams being like the guy that's going to go in there and, all right, you're going to come to Detroit and be the defensive line coach, and a little sweetener on the top is like, hey, you're next man up if Aaron Glenn decides to leave. Obviously that's all speculation, but I think that's the move. I truly think that Terrell Williams will be the guy to replace Aaron Glenn if he decides to move on.
Is there any chance that we get both these guys back again?
I would put the chances at under 1%.
Under 1?
For both of them to come back next year, I would say, all right, I'll say under 5%.
Yeah, I think we're going to have like a ugly
it's more
game
likely,
that I will not say on these airwaves again, like the meltdown in San Francisco, anything for them to come back.
It's more likely that they're both gone than they both stay. Much more likely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But that's what happens. When you're a good team, that's what happens.
Plus, we thought it was chalk that Ben Johnson was not coming back last year, and he did. So, I mean, you can see it. Maybe he doesn't mesh well with a lot of these owners, and they don't give him all of the power that Ben Johnson wants because he is such a hot coaching candidate. Ben
Johnson will be the hottest candidate for a head coach in the NFL until he is a head coach in the NFL. So he doesn't have a window to worry about. He's still a young guy, and this offense it's not going to slow down, if he's still here. So his resume will be what it is right now, if not even higher, every single year. Aaron Glenn, he's a little longer in the tooth. He looks. The writing's on the wall for Aaron Glenn. I love Aaron Glenn, and I hope he has success if he decides to leave and go somewhere else, as long as it's not in the division. But we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Our guy Doc Macaroon interviewed Amik Robertson, the hero of the Vikings game. We got a clip from that we're going to get into next. But first, let me tell you guys about Lady Jane's. At Lady Jane's, we take the chore out of getting a haircut. Our talented stylist will deliver an industry-leading haircut, relaxing scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The bad boys from the NFL are here. Your 2024 Detroit Lions are the hardest hitting, highest flying, trickiest playing, grittiest team in the NFL. NFL.
A dominant team.
Get all your coverage of your favorite team right here in your favorite network. Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
The live watch party and the post-game show for the Detroit Lions are here at Woodward Sports, and they're live at Hayes Social, so come out and join us for the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. Me and Easy on the desk for the watch party, and then as always, sticking to Anson for the post-game show, presented by New Holland Brewing Company, Sabbath Coffee Roasters, Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza, and 1800 Tequila. What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights Live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. For Nick, for Chris, I am Spencer. We are the Heavyweights, and we appreciate you for joining us. We do have a Super Chat goal in there. If we get 7 more $10 more Super Chats, we will be doing the J-Mo Burger taste test.
Ugh.
Or the McRib, whichever you guys decide. I've never had the McRib. We did the J-Mo Burger once. It was not good. But we're talking Lions. We're talking about this coaching carousel that seems to go on every year now with Dan Campbell's staff. And Steve Wilds in the Woodward Sports chat says, rumor is Ben will stay. I've seen that. I think it was Jeremy Fowler said it's not a guarantee that Ben Johnson will take any of these head coaching gigs given to him. And we've known that. You know, we've heard that before the national media reported it, that Ben Johnson is going to be very selective. He only wants to go to a place that has a lot of structure from owner to GM to the rest of his team and players. He wants to be in a good situation. So I don't want to say I'm confident, but I'm more confident that Ben Johnson will stay than Aaron Glenn. I'm pretty sure that Aaron Glenn's going to leave, but I could definitely see a path where Ben Johnson is still your offensive coordinator next year. But somebody that is here this year still, and somebody that had the game of his life against the Minnesota Vikings in Week 18 with the division on the line and the 1 seed on the line, Amik Robertson, was on the Detroit Sports Podcast talking to our guy Doc Macaroon, and here's what he had to say about going up against Jettas.
You get to practice against one of the dogs in the National Football League and Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and the other receivers. And we hear about the practices. What's it like one-on-one battle with him? Because I know you're competitive, and I know 14's competitive. What's it like? Because I know you both probably are miserable if you lose a single rep.
Yeah, the first day, speaking of the first day I got here, man, I knew coming into here, it wasn't gonna be. I knew a lot of guys knew who I was because of I was the guy that was, chirping a lot when we played them when I was at the Raiders. So I knew that some guys were gonna know who I was. But I knew what kind of team this was. Like, you can't just come in and just think. You gotta earn that, man. You gotta earn that. And that's what I wanted to do. And I remember the first day, OTAs, man, me and Amon-Ra St. lined up across from each other, and he was killing me, dog. Like, I'm talking about, he went about 4 for 4 on me, like in certain situations we was going through in 7-on-7. And I went home and I'm like, I did not come here to be like, this is nah, I'm a dog too. I don't care if he's Amon-Ra St. Like, I've just came from going against Devontae Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if he's, it was a respect thing, but it was mostly me telling myself he's a dog, but I'm a dog too. And that next day, I went crazy. Like, the next day I went crazy. I'm talking about interception. I went crazy, man. And guys are like, he could play. But just lining up across from a guy like that, he's hard worker, competitive. We all know about his background. Hard worker, man, competitive guy, very reliable, dependable. This team going into the right direction with guys like Amon-Ra St., man. Like, that's all I can see. Guys like Panay, Amon-Ra St., Goff, J-Mo, like this, give this. this team is going into the right direction.
We're going in the right direction with guys like Amik Robertson. And I apologize, I introed the wrong clip. I forget. I literally says on the sheet, Amik Robertson on iron sharpening iron at Lions practice. But so we know that. And we expected that because we've been there. We've been to the camp. We've seen how heated they get. We know that Dan Campbell likes to let these guys go. There's a reason we're fighting everybody at camp. There's a reason Kirby Joseph was tuning up Malik Neighbors earlier in the year. Like, these guys get after it in those reps. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the biggest shit talkers on the team. Amik Robertson, one of the biggest shit talkers on the team. We can only imagine what they were like going up one-on-one, and he said it himself, having these guys out there, it just helps you get further. You go out there and you find that fucking dog, and Amik found that dog, and on the next day he went out there getting interceptions. You love to hear that because that stems from the culture that Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Chris Spielman, and Sheila Ford Hamp have built in Detroit, that it's dog on dog, it's dog eat dog. It's Darwinism. Like, only the fit survive. And you have these guys going out there and living every single day, every single snap, every single practice with that mantra.
Speaking about the mantra, I mean, Amik just said it. He brought it last Halloween, I believe it was, when the Raiders came in for Monday Night Football. You think AJ on the sideline didn't hear that? It was, I want that dog. You know exactly. So Brad doesn't just sign Amik to a 1-year deal. He brought him in for a 2-year deal. He knew what kind of player he was getting when he talks about the dirt. You know, he comes from the dirt. Amik Robertson fits Detroit so well.
Yes, he does.
And I would love that he's getting his shine finally in all of these interviews and getting his shine going up against a guy like Justin Jefferson that we talked about, because his mentality sets the tone and fits the right mentality for this Detroit Lions team. And to be in the back end and going one-on-one against all of these guys, you have to have it. We talk about it all the time. Chris, what was your first reaction to that one?
Everything you talk about when you talk about the culture that this roster has, that this regime has. And, you know, I find myself getting I find it so difficult to not fall in love with this, to not fall in love with this cliche, the cliche narratives that are put around this Lions team, but they actually embody these things. These are exactly what you want your players to say. You want your players to say they're going hard in practice, and this person's great, and this is why this organization will have success for a long time, because this is the culture that's in place. Everybody wants that, and a lot of people oversell that, but Detroit really embodies that. There is nothing fake about this Detroit Lions team, and that's what I love most, because at first when you hear these things, it's almost too good to be true. It's almost just, you know, like a perfect PR script, but in reality, this is what the Detroit Lions do. This is what they're about, and you love it, man. I love seeing it, and I hope Amik is there for the long run. Don't sell yourself short, Amik. Say we are going in the right direction. Yep. Include yourself in there, man, because I want you around here long term. You're playing great. Hats off to you.
For sure. And again, shout out to Doc Macaroon of the Detroit Sports Podcast and Lions on Sports Illustrated. So make sure you go check him out. He does a lot of great things, and he's got some of the best Lions coverage in the state. Having that sit down with Amik one-on-one is very cool. So shout out to the Doc. But it's I don't know how much more we can preach that this culture is a real thing.
Yeah.
You're hearing it on the daily now from these guys. And these are the guys, we talked about it with DJ Reader yesterday. We're talking about it with Amik Robertson today. These are the guys that just got here. This is their first year here. And they're already like, yeah, this shit's different. Yeah, this is great. Amik Robertson coming from a bad culture in Las Vegas. Obviously, the Raiders not known for having the best culture set up. But DJ Reader coming from a championship, you know, contending team in the Bengals, like a Super Bowl contention team that you would think had a great culture established. No, you come here and it's different with the Detroit Lions. It is these guys going at it, and when you have such a well-balanced team that you've got studs on both sides of the ball, you got stud wide receivers going up against stud cornerbacks in camp every day. You got stud defensive tackles going up against stud offensive linemen in camp every day. You've got two great coordinators battling each other in those live game simulations that they do. So So it just makes everyone better, and everyone benefits from playing this brand of ball, even in camp, even in practice. Like Dan Campbell, you remember the Dan Campbell speech? Like, I know some of you are all looking at me like I'm crazy, man. Like, why do we got pads on, man? You got to believe in me, man. I think about you guys and nothing else but you guys, man. And it's true. He's right. You go there and you play at that level in camp and at practice. So when you're on the reps and when you're getting the reps in the season, you know what it's about. You know you're going to bring more than them because you're going up against Terrion Arnold and Amik Robertson are going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown playing at 100% in practice. They're not going to worry about Addison or Jefferson. They're going up against first-team All-Pros in practice.
And they're talking shit to each other, and they're also hitting each other. St. Brown says it all the time on their pod. Like, they practice, and they go full speed. They hit. And I don't know if this is, like, cause any. They practice so hard. I don't even want to say that it's caused any injuries or anything because
the injuries are more than playing hard. Like,
yeah,
they
play
game.
so fucking hard,
yeah.
And that's what you have to do. And speaking of playing hard, I mean, Amik Robertson, he is a little bit undersized as a cornerback, and he has to play like this with that dog mentality. And it's just so nice and refreshing to see. And I want to give a little bit of love to Brad Holmes on Amik Robertson specifically.
Shout out
for bringing in
Amik
and Carlton. Yeah, that's what it was. Or not Savant, was it? He was a snob. Cornerback snob myself. That's what it was. I was looking for the quote. He brought in Amik. He brought in Carlton Davis. Two great guys to bring into this locker room. Obviously, Carlton's banged up. I am so excited for what the future holds for a Terrion Arnold and for an Ennis Rakestraw. I can't wait to see those guys when they finally do hit their stride.
Yeah, and that is true. Like, look at the self-proclaimed cornerback snob.
Yep.
In the offseason brings the two of the best acquisitions he made were both cornerbacks, and they're both playing lights out. Shout out to Amik Robertson. And again, shout out to Doc Macaroon for getting that interview. It's very cool. Detroit Sports Podcast. Make sure you go. I'm sure you guys all follow him on Twitter already at Detroit Podcast, but he's the man. Chris, last word on this before we go to break.
What else is there to say? It's too good to be true, but it is true.
Yeah.
And that's where you're at with it. You got to just appreciate this and have faith that long term, that as long as these pillars are in place, this Lions franchise ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Facts. Tell us about 1800 Tequila.
1800 Tequila, let me tell you about the best drink in the game. The best tasting tequila has now teamed up with the Detroit Lions and Woodward Sports for Woodward Sports Lions watch parties live at Hayes Social in Shelby Township. So if you're in the area, go ahead and tap in. It's a great atmosphere. If you're not, go ahead and tap into the stream on YouTube and Twitter, wherever Woodward Sports is. 1800 Tequila, the best tasting tequila. Please, as always, drink responsibly.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The Super Bowl parade in Detroit will be one for the record books. Detroit just does it different. Woodward Sports, your official Super Bowl or Bust Lions network.
Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza has a limited time offer continuing throughout football season. Soroki's is debuting the fresh signature flavored wings this football season. Grab your friends, order a New York style pizza, add fresh wings for the games this weekend. Try one of their 7 different flavors. www.sorokis.com.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Sports Network. We are the Woodward Heavyweights live. Make sure you smash that like button. For Nick, for Chris, I am Spencer Raxter. We're talking Lions, and we just got done talking about the culture. Again, surprise, surprise. But there is something that I want to talk about. And I know that we're in the middle of the best season in the history of the Detroit Lions. I know that we are the number 1 seed in the NFC for the first time. We are back-to-back NFC North champions for the first time. We have one of the most historic offenses in the history of the NFL, the best red zone defense in the history of the NFL, and just this team has been playing at such a high level all year that I think we kind of take for granted how good they really are. And I follow, Detroit Sports PR on Twitter. Great follow. Or Detroit Lions PR on Twitter, excuse me. If you don't follow, you should follow them. It's a great follow. They put out a lot of great stats, a lot of different things that some people might have missed. And they put out some stats about the Detroit Lions and their success so far this year. And I want to go through them one by one and really break down what they mean. Chris, pick any one of the 3 and throw it up there first.
Just start with any of these, right?
Start with any of them.
All right, let's start with this one.
And there it is. The Lions have won 4 Player of the Month awards in this season for the first time in team history, with 4 different players collecting the honors. In September, it was Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year. October, Jared Goff, Offensive Player of the Year. November, it was Jake Bates, Special Teams Player of the Year. And in December/January, it was Jahmyr Gibbs for Offensive Player of the Year. That means they've had the best player in their respective group, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, every single month of the NFL season. Twice on offense, 1 on defense, and 1 on special teams. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. You have so many studs all over this team that you're like, okay, yeah, he's the best offensive player this month in the entire NFC. And then he's the best offensive player in this month in the entire NFC. These guys, they're just so loaded with talent. And look, throw that up one more time again, Chris.
Let's see.
Because you look at the names on this list. Aiden Hutchinson drafted by Brad Holmes. Jared Goff, the first thing Brad Holmes did was bring him into this team. Jake Bates knew what Brad Holmes was, pretty much drafted. I mean, not technically drafted, but his first NFL opportunity given to him by Brad Holmes. And then Jahmyr Gibbs drafted by Brad Holmes. It's a beautiful thing.
And that's why I am not extremely concerned if we do lose these coaches, is because Brad Holmes is the guy acquiring these players, and he is a weapon when it comes to drafting, and he is so confident. Plus, he doesn't just sit pat. He'll trade back, he'll trade up, he'll get more picks, or he'll give up some picks if he wants to acquire a guy. So the talent acquisition from Brad Holmes is out of this world. It's not even close. So to have this much talent, I think gives me hope and optimism for the future, that this isn't just, a couple year stretch. This isn't just a fun run that we've been on. This is what we should be getting used to as Detroit Lions fans, because Brad Holmes is so good at his job.
Yeah, I love that part of Brad Holmes and giving him praise, but sticking with the guys that we have here in the awards, what stands out to me is exactly what you mentioned, Spencer, is the fact that it's every facet. It's offense twice, defense, and special teams. That just top to bottom is a complete roster. And obviously credit to Brad Holmes, Nick, as you brought up, which is great. But sticking with the fact that it just doesn't happen that you see these teams winning, because of their offense or because of their defense or because of this or because of that. But this Detroit Lions team can really win anyway, and that's why you got to have confidence with this team going into the playoffs, is because, yes, you do have injuries. Yes, you do have holes now. But when this roster was fully healthy, we saw there was literally no flaws.
Yeah.
Fully healthy, this team is, no exaggeration, a historic team. Mm-hmm. And that is because it is complete top to bottom. There's complete synergy. And I love the fact that, offensively, it's 2 different players.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a quarterback winning it both times because you have an elite quarterback like a Josh Allen. No, it's Jared Goff was absolutely the best player on offense in the month of October. But Gibbs has been lighting it up. Both of those awards.
Over, yeah.
The fact that you could even just take the awards from your teammates, dude, that's insane.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
And you, like you said, it wasn't how do you want it offense. It's truly a how do you want it team. And we saw the defense win us the game against the Vikings in Week 18. We saw the defense win us the game against Houston when they got the interceptions when we needed them after Jared Goff had 5 interceptions that game. We've seen the offense win us plenty of games this year by putting up an insane amount of points.
The
and
special
dominating
teams
the ball.
beat the Titans.
We saw the special teams win us a game by getting the ball inside of the opposing territory every single time. Like, we've truly beaten teams in every single facet. It's just insane. And Chris, like you said, if injuries were turned off, the Lions wouldn't have lost the game this year. If the injuries were turned off, the Lions would not have lost the game this year. I just love it, man. I truly love it. And we got more.
Yeah.
I'll throw up another one, Chris. Another reason of why this Lions team and their success, I don't think we talk about it enough, truly, how good they are.
Well, let's stick with the unit here, and let's go with.
And here we go. We talked about it earlier in the year. Is there a running back room better than the Detroit Lions? Remember, I believe it was ESPN did not have the Detroit Lions ranked in their top 4 running back rooms in the NFL. You idiots. But you look at it here. The Lions running back. This is, again, from Detroit Lions PR, which is a fantastic Twitter follow. You should all be following Detroit Lions PR. The Lions running back unit combined for 3,307 scrimmage yards and 32 scrimmage touchdowns this season, leading all NFL running back units in both categories. The last NFL team to have their running backs combined for at least 3,000 scrimmage yards and 30 touchdowns was the 2006 Chargers. Damn. Almost 20 years. Almost 20 years, and the NFL hasn't seen a running back room at the caliber of this Detroit Lions unit. They're the best running back room in the NFL. It's not even close. We saw these guys step. Jamar Jefferson stepped up when Monty went down. Obviously, Craig Reynolds stepped up in that last game. We saw Sion Vaki get some good touches. And then what do you got to say about David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs? You got 2 running back ones handing off to each other pretty much. Like, when David Montgomery went down, I'm pretty sure they had the exact same amount of touches in the season. This running back unit is so insane. Shout out to Brad Holmes for acquiring a lot of this talent, signing David Montgomery and then re-signing David Montgomery, drafting Sion Vaki, drafting obviously Jahmyr Gibbs. This is a unit that is led by Scotty Montgomery and that is just absolutely bruising. It doesn't matter who is in there because we've seen there isn't a drop-off between these guys, man. David Montgomery goes down. We were a little worried about it, but we knew we had Jahmyr Gibbs, so nobody was really worried about it. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs performing as the alpha back out there, but then you have Craig Reynolds picking up 7 yards a carry against the Vikings. You have Sion Vaki filling in the passing game a little bit against the Bears, I believe it was. It's just
Jamar Jefferson
making plays and getting some goal line touches. This team is so well, and this running back room has been insane.
But hey, you shouldn't pay running backs.
Yeah.
But hey, you shouldn't take a running back in the first round. Look what this has done. Get all of your preconceived notions about building a team and throw them in the goddamn garbage. Brad Holmes, masterclass, bringing in all of these talented running backs. And we haven't seen anything out of Vaki yet. And I guarantee that this guy's going to be a weapon for this team moving forward in the future when we need him to be. Yeah, D-Mont, what more can you say? You paid him. People said not to. Gibbs, what more can you say? You drafted him. People said don't do it.
People told me Gibbs and Montgomery was going to be a downgrade from Williams and Swift. I was told that on these airwaves.
What the fuck? That's terrible. All right, Chris. Yeah, I just wanted to give Brad Holmes some more props on this one for going against the grain. Because all these media people are so smart saying don't pay running backs, don't draft them in the first.
Yep.
Look what he did and look where we turned out.
I love that you brought that up, and just because I know the next graphic and it's not involving this, but they should get credit, and I'll lump it in here. It's the offensive line, man. Like the offensive line, really helping this team take another level, and these running backs take another level. And I'm glad you brought up Vaki too, because that's somebody that I have some long-term faith in. Like, I have real stock there. I'm buying all Vaki stock. I don't know why. I can't even fully explain why. I just am. I'm just buying all the stock. So if you're selling, contact my agent. We'll get a deal done. But I love this team, man. I love the running back room. It's awesome. It's a great thing to see. So, man, shout out to that offensive line. I know offensive lines get gifted gifts for their quarterbacks. These offensive line, like, what did they get, Spencer? Like, do they get houses? Do they get Do they get like countries? Like, what do they get?
They should get something more than any. Jared Goff got them coolers full of meat.
Yeah,
which is
good. You gotta feed the heavies.
Keep them heavy, man.
But man, they deserve like a small country. Like break off a small country, or that island in the Pacific Ocean is now just yours.
Yeah,
it's yours, man. They're incredible.
No, those guys are absolutely. It's the best unit in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then they went back to playing like that, and they've been a little banged up here and there. So now you're getting. It's good to get a bye week for those old heads, for Frank Ragnow, for Taylor Decker, for Graham Glasgow, those old guys that are banged up, because they're all banged up. Everybody's banged up. It's an 18-week season or a 19-week season. Like it's going to happen. So it's important to have that bye week so those older guys, especially on the offensive line, can get healthy.
Yeah. Shout out the 2006 Chargers, Easy's favorite team when he was in college.
Shout out. I was like, where are you going with that? Yeah. Easy love going.
LaDainian Tomlinson. He was a big LaDainian Tomlinson guy.
LT.
No, he was the man.
That's true. I would have to look at those splits because I would bet the vast majority of that was from LT and not anybody
he had like
else
27 touchdowns that year. Like, am I tripping?
He was a freak.
Yeah.
And we got one more.
Yeah.
That I want again from the Detroit Lions PR. This is another graphic or another tweet that they put out there. The Detroit Lions did not allow a touchdown in 4 games this season, the most in the NFL. This ties for the 4th most games without a touchdown allowed in franchise history and is Detroit's most in a season since 1983.
Damn.
That's when Easy was turning 12. Okay, so like this is
that was
crazy.
His 13th birthday, big time.
Aaron Glenn said he wanted to be the greatest defensive coordinator in the history of the Detroit Lions. He's up there. He is in the conversation. Like that is 4 games without allowing a team to score a touchdown. And I know one was the Viking, or one was the, I believe it was the Pack, or what am I talking about?
Titans.
The Titans. One was the Jags, the Vikings, and then the Cowboys. Right? Those are the 4. Did the Cowboys score a touchdown?
No, they didn't.
Right.
So those are the 4, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But still, those are still NFL teams. To hold them out of the end zone for 60 minutes is insane. And to do it 4 times for the first time or the most since 1983, hats off to Aaron Glenn with this defense that has been ravaged with injury. That's just an insane stat.
Yeah, I don't even believe that stat, to be honest. With all, what was that, 110 games that you've missed from starters?
Yep.
Like, that's where this team's at, and you go out and throw 4 games without giving up a touchdown. I mean, Aaron Glenn, these players buying in. It's just, what more can you say? This has been a fun week with all these numbers coming out because they're all out of this world. Like, that's how good this team has been. They got the 1 seed in the NFC. This is going to be fun to see what they can do moving forward against, obviously, a lot better competition. But I have faith that this defense can still put up some really good numbers.
Absolutely, man. And the fact that you played the Bears and multiple teams during that missed Anzalone stretch, I believe even if you just give me Anzalone never getting hurt, that number might be even a little higher.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like, but it's insane just in this era where we all know obviously the game is geared towards offense.
100%.
You can't tackle anymore. Like all of these things you can't tackle anymore. What the hell?
I saw a stat. Supremacy said Tomlinson in 06 had 2,323 total yards and 31 total touchdowns. So, yeah, it was pretty much LT by himself.
I thought I was exaggerating. I thought I was exaggerating with 27 touchdowns. That's nuts.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But, no, it's just crazy in this era where it's geared towards offense, obviously, that this defense is able to do this. That's insane.
Yeah, and this was obviously the tweet we had yesterday about the red zone defense and how effective it was also from Detroit Lions PR, and they posted a lot more. This is truly, like, we know they're good. We know they're the best team the Lions have ever had. But the greatness that we're witnessing, I think, is still going over even some of our heads that are so invested into this team. If you go to Detroit Lions PR on Twitter and just scroll through their last, 15 tweets, it's all stuff like this that is like the first time since 62 and one of 3 teams in NFL history. Like, there is 20 tweets in a row about this Detroit Lions team. This is truly one of the greatest football teams in the NFL's history.
Dude, it's better than the porn you find on
Yes,
Twitter. Like,
it
don't
really
go
is.
don't go to the porn pages. Go to the Detroit Lions PR if you really want to get off.
Shit
It's
kept
insane.
me up at night, honestly. But we're going to go to break. We're going to come back with a little fire and ice about these Lions players going into the playoffs. Who do you trust the most? Who do you trust the least? And what is your confidence rating in these guys going into this playoff run? But first, let me tell you about Caesar Sportsbook. Caesar Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Woodward Sports. Scan that QR code above my head and use code word Woodward1000 to get yourself that promo code that gives you your first bet of up to $1,000 being risk-free. That means if it doesn't hit, you get it back in bonus bets up to $1,000 only if you use code word Woodward1000. Caesar Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Woodward Sports.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Back-to-back NFC North Division champions. The Detroit Lions are playoff bound and ready to eat the kneecaps of anyone standing in our way. Follow Woodward Sports as we cover the best season in Detroit Lions history. Go Lions!
Talk about pressure, we live in pressure. That's where we freaking thrive. You did it again.
From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
New Holland Brewing Company and Taller Long Drink should be your first choice when you're looking to just have a good time, tailgate, pregame a party, whatever you're worried about, whenever you're trying to get an alcoholic beverage in, it should be Taller Long Drink from New Holland Brewing Company. First of all, support Michigan companies. Support local. It's no-brainer. New Holland Brewing Company, a Michigan company, obviously. And Taller Long Drink is a gin-based cocktail made with real grapefruit puree. It's delicious. So go get some of the Total Wine near you. Taller Long Drink. What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights Live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. I am Spencer, Chris in the TD booth, and Nick on the ones and twos.
Platty Pods.
Platty Pods. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. And if we get some more super chats in there, we might be doing a J-Mo burger. Just saying. I don't know why I started talking like that, but whatever. Fire and ice, Nick.
All right, fellas, going into the playoffs
Explain
here.
this for the people.
The Lions. You know, they've had a lot of guys that have been super hot this season and going into the playoffs. So confidence level, that's a 10. You're on fire going in. You have a lot of faith that these players are going to be able to produce against now really good teams, talking about elite teams, and then ultimately Super Bowl teams like Chiefs, Bills, Ravens. And then you got the other side, the ice cold guys, maybe a little struggles throughout the year that maybe need to pick it up a notch in your confidence level in them. So that would be the one. So we're going to start this one off with a guy who threw 2 interceptions in his first game. Throw a little curveball at you boys.
Oh, shit.
In his last game. Jared Goff. Confidence level that he can ultimately lead this team to a Super Bowl with everything around him.
Fire. Fire emoji. Fire flames. Through the fire and flames. Eternal pits of hell damnation fire. Like
Confidence
Jared
level
Goff,
out of 10.
10. My confidence level in Jared Goff is a 10. He's performed at an extremely high level all year. Obviously, the one deep shot looked like a miscommunication with J-Mo. Don't know what was really going on there. And then the tip ball, that was just a crazy play by a crazy player. And I have the utmost confidence in Jared. I'll tell you what, spoiler alert, you're going to hear a lot of fires from me when you're talking about this Detroit Lions offense.
Yeah. I'm also at a 10. Like, I just don't see a game in which he can underperform and you can't win. We saw him throw 5 interceptions in a game, and they still won. And that was against a team that's in the playoffs, by the way, on the road. We are home in Detroit. There is no game that I can't feel confident with Jared Goff playing at home in Detroit. So to me, I think this is a 10 out of 10. I think you have all the reasons in the world to be confident. Where are you at with it, Nick?
Chris,
fire or ice?
Definitely fire, Chris. That's a great point. You're at home. You're at Ford Field. You don't have to go to Philly. And I think that's the biggest reason why I'm at a 10. When you lost in the NFC Championship game to the 49ers, it wasn't because of Jared Goff. He didn't drop those passes to Josh Reynolds. They were on point. He hit his hands, and then they hit the dirt. Yeah, I'm at a 10 with Goff. But a guy that's coming back from injury, he's been such a big component of this team's offense, but we don't know where he's at with this injury. But he is coming back for the divisional series. Another guy's been stepping up big time. How confident are you guys in Monty, and how much do you guys see his workload taking a hit because of this injury?
Man, Monty with the injury, 10. A 10 in David Montgomery, even with the injury. Like, obviously, the workload might not be what it was. He might take a little bit of a step back, like I said, to what it might be next year, where it's like a 70-30 kind of split or a 60-40 kind of split between him and Gibbs. But David Montgomery looked fine when he went back in the game that he literally suffered this injury in. So after a couple weeks off, I'm confident that he is going to look fine and still be that guy. I expect David Montgomery to still get the first drive on these playoff games in this playoff situation. Having a guy like that you can hand the ball off to, he can fall forward, keep that clock moving, gain you 4 yards every handoff. Like 10. David Montgomery, if he's healthy, he's back. He is healthy. He is back more than likely. Obviously, unless there's a setback or something like that, Dan Campbell expects him to be back for the divisional round. So, yeah, if David Montgomery is ready to go and playing, it's a 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to go like an 8 because, there is that room of injury. But you're right, Spencer. It's the physicality that he plays with. He's not Jahmyr Gibbs. If it was a Gibbs injury, I'd be much more concerned because why? Gibbs is a more shifty back. You're using your knees differently than Monty. Monty is literally just, I'm stronger than all of you, and you know what? I'm going to take you with me wherever I go. So I just have a lot of confidence based off his style, which is physical, that he's going to be able to still do what he does, which is run people over. So I'm at an 8 or a 9, but I'll say an 8 just because there is obviously some limitations with his injury.
And shout out to Tom Begman in the Woodward Sports chat. He says getting Demo back will take more pressure off our defense. That's 100%. Yeah. Like I love Gibbs. I love JMO. Sometimes they score too fast. So you have this long drive where the defense stops them at the 1 yard line, and you give it back to the offense, and then boom, a 70-yard rushing touchdown for Gibbs, and the defense has to go right back out there. Yeah, they're just like, son of a bitch. You can't pick Eric. Like, obviously, you want the touchdowns, you want the plays, but Demo, it brings in that methodically moving offense down the field, draining clock, imposing your will, especially. Obviously, we're in Ford Field, so it's not going to matter as much. But so I'll take the weather out of it. But in the later weeks of the season, in the playoffs, after the long NFL season, these guys are banged up. You get David Montgomery against them in the fourth quarter when they're already beat down, and he's just punching you in the mouth still. That defense is going to break.
Yeah, fellas, I think D-Mont did his job tremendously throughout the year. And it was to keep Jahmyr Gibbs fresh. I mean, obviously he does his own thing on the field, and it's super valuable to this team. But it also was so valuable because it was able to limit Jahmyr Gibbs' touches and carries, and that's why I believe now Jahmyr Gibbs gets let loose. I think this is going to be the 70-30 split moving forward. I mean, you saw it last game. Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely took over in the second half. That's why I'm at about a 7 with D-Mont coming back, because I haven't seen it yet. I think you're going to see him in those spots where we think he would be good when it comes to goal line, big first down, when you need a big first down, or on a fourth down, you go to D-Mont. But that's where I'm at about a 7, because how many doctors did he have to see, fellas? 3? 3 doctors. So, I don't know. Is he Superman? I don't know. Is he Knuckles? We'll see.
Just a fan in the Woodward Sports chat says breaking news: Spenny hates touchdowns. The Runyon 99 says what a complaint. Yeah, I know. If that's what we're complaining about, that hey, you guys are scoring touchdowns too fast. It's a good spot to be in.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Speaking about a good spot to be in, this guy's been pretty good this year, but he has, given up some big plays in the backfield at times, and his name's Graham Glasgow. Yeah. The left guard for the Detroit Lions, I think, is kind of the, I don't want to say weak link, because I don't think he's weak, but I don't think he's as great as the other players. Glasgow confidence level moving in when you see guys in the playoffs that are pretty damn dominant, and I think of a guy immediately like Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Jalen Carter, if you have to play the Philadelphia Eagles, he's a menace in the middle. Or you get to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you got to go up against Chris Jones, obviously a menace in the middle. And Graham Glasgow, he hasn't played his best football the past couple games. He'll tell you that. He'll look you in the face and he'll tell you that. Obviously, I think the injuries were playing a big factor in that. So that's why I'm going to say Graham Glasgow, my confidence level in him going forward in the playoffs is a 10. I truly, you give these guys the extra week off. That is going to make such a difference. I do think that the couple subpar plays that we saw from Graham Glasgow, a big factor of that was the injuries he was dealing with. Obviously, he was so injured he had to sit out one of the games. Christian Mahogany came in, played great. I expect Graham with this bye week to get healthy, to be good to go, to have Taylor Decker get even more healthy, Frank Ragnow get even more healthy, and never forget, they got the power of friendship on that side of the offensive line with Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow, and Frank Ragnow. So I'm uber confident in Graham to be able to take care of business in the playoffs.
Yeah, you have to be at a 10 here just because of the rest element, but also, again, we just talked about it last segment. The offensive line unit is the best unit in football, which is a sham PFF that none of them were on your offensive line pro first team.
Yeah.
But I digress. This is a team, though, that has a great unit. So even if Graham Glasgow isn't at 100%, which I believe he's going to definitely be better than he was the previous weeks, but even if he's not that, he still has great help around him. So I have all the faith in the world that he can do enough, that he can do his job well enough. You're right. There are going to be some tough matchups coming up, but I just, look, call me crazy, but I'm going to die on the hill of putting my faith in the best unit in football. Like, call me a madman.
At about a 7 out of 10 with Graham. I'm a lot more confident in some of the other guys, but this is where you need D-Mon to step up and maybe make that big block on a guy that's coming in if Graham does get beat in the backfield to help a guy out like Goff. And real quick, fellas, just one of the guys on the defense, Brad Holmes draft pick himself. They were propping him up to have a really big year. I think he's been good in times and, haven't heard his name too much at times. Levi Onwuzurike on the defensive line here, fellas. He does need to step up if this defense wants to keep it up like they did against the Vikings. Where are you guys at with Levi?
I'm going to give Levi Onwuzurike a Royal Oak 7.
So that's 7. Like a Warren 10.
A Royal Oak 7. That's a Warren 12. I'm giving him a Royal Oak 7. I think he played one of his best games of his career against the Minnesota Vikings. He had 9 pressures on Sam Darnold. He was getting in there. He was creating havoc. He was making plays. I think with him, again, he's been a little banged up this year. Story of his life, he's been a little banged up. He's dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. But he played very well, and I think Alex Anzalone coming back played a big role in that because that's your captain. That's making sure he's in the right gap. That's making sure everybody's set and everybody's good to go and having another piece for him to rely on. So, Levi Onwuzurike, again, this is respectively to what he is. Like, I don't expect him to go out there and have 10 sacks in the playoffs, but he is a good player. He is a more than serviceable player, and I feel comfortable with him going forward at that, let's say, inside rusher role that we need him to play in this defense.
Yeah, see, I'm at like a 7 with him because a couple weeks ago though, I would have been at a 5 just because of again, no disrespect to him, but looking at what you need production wise out of this defensive line, I've been kind of just ever since we got Zadarius Smith, I've been like, you're the saving grace, and then ever since we got Iffy back, Iffy's pressures that he brings, I've been looking elsewhere other than Levi. So to me, you're right. He had a good game against the Vikings. I think he is solid for what he is. However, I'm looking at not what he is. I'm looking at what needs to be done to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not saying it's impossible to win a Super Bowl with Levi Onwuzurike, but at the same time, I would like somebody that has higher production in that place. So that's why my confidence is at a 7. I still like our chances because of the whole roster in totality, but that area right there, I'm not necessarily the highest on. Nick, where are you at?
Yeah, I'll say about a 6 out of 10, honestly, with Levi. I think he's done a lot of what he's needed to do this year in spots to fill in, but I don't know. I haven't seen like that extra spark from Levi, and it's hard when you're relying on all these guys. I mean, he's not playing next to Aleem, and he's
Minnesota.
next to DJ Reader. He's not, he's asked to do way more because of the injuries on the line. So that's why I'm at a 6 with Levi, but I mean, it's above a 5. I don't really feel too bad about any of these guys, but there we go.
No,
nice.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah, it's hard to,
I'm not going to argue that. I just think the way he performed against Minnesota really, that stood out to me.
Xavier says Vildor.
Vildor? Well, hopefully we don't have to see Vildor too much out there because Amik Robertson was playing great, and Terrion Arnold is probably I wouldn't say 0. If Vildor was out there, I'd say 5. 4 or 5. Probably 4. But no, Vildor, he's fine. I'm not easy saying he's the best quarterback of all time or anything like that.
Darrelle Revis or
best
Vildor?
friend and
He's
cousin.
a very serviceable quarterback. He doesn't need to be locked down. You don't expect him to be locked down or the starter. But when he goes out there and gets reps, I trust him to do his job.
Easy's not here. We don't need to have the Vildor argument.
Yeah, we don't. But that was fire and ice.
Yes, and let me tell you, your confidence level should be at a 10 when searching for a home with Mark White because he saves you $5,000 on a new home. So if you're dreaming of that new home but feeling that financial pinch, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will again pay up to $5,000 on your closing costs. That's right, $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesales.com.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and woodwardsports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you. We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Are you overdue for a new car? Beat the holiday rush and get an amazing deal from Les Stanford Chevrolet. Right now, a Blazer EV2LT with all-wheel drive is only $149 per month. Or check out the Equinox EVLT for only $169 per month. Get to Les Stanford today or click the QR code on the screen and check out their massive inventory. Don't forget, Les Stanford has Cadillac, Buick, and GMC as well. Les Stanford in Dearborn and Ferndale. LesStanford.com. What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on Woodward Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. I am Spencer Raxter. That is Nick Kohloff. That is Chris Platte. We are the Woodward Heavyweights. Appreciate you for joining. Make sure you get your super chats in there. Joseph Hecker in the Woodward Sports chat talking about the trio of wing defenders of Ausar Thompson, Ron Holland, and Cade Cunningham, and where they can be. He says, Spenny, we can already put them in the conversation with Dort and them. I watched the Thunder right after the Pistons the other night, and our Dortcher chambers will be better. I did forget to put the Thunder in that conversation of trio of wing defenders. I said Timberwolves and Knicks. The Thunder for sure. With Shea, with J-Dub, and with Dort, the Thunder are definitely in there. But yeah, I would say give me one more team to be in the top 5. Maybe the Rockets.
Yeah.
Maybe the Rockets. When you look at Amen, you look at
Amen's just a monster, dude. He is an absolute monster. Fred VanVleet's always been a pest. He's always been a pest too. So you're right to include the Thunder.
The Thunder
as well.
have to be in there. Maybe the Cavs with Mitchell, Garland, and Okoro, but Mitchell's not really that great of a defense.
Yeah, Mitchell's not, and Garland's not that great either. But they're serviceable. They've been good this year, but that's because they're doing a good job of splitting their carries. But I'm looking at this and saying, I don't want to just like dunk on Duren every time, but I'm like, dude, if you have this much perimeter defense, like, come on. That should make rim protecting even easier.
And he has been better. He had a good block in that game against the Nets.
I hate that I'm praising my 7-footer for blocking a shot.
A single block, a singular block. He had a good block, a chase down block that led to a fast break opportunity and an open 3 to Beasley. So you like to see that, and that's. I know he's young, man, and he obviously didn't have to be that locked in defensively because he was so physically gifted that he didn't really have to lock in. Like in the NBA, everybody's physically gifted. It's so we'll see what's going on there. But this game tonight against the Warriors.
Oh, I got updates, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you, but Hardaway is questionable with a back injury, but Ausar will play.
Ausar playing.
Yes.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Is it like back spasms because I know he's dealt with that before,
They
right?
just said back, so I'm assuming that's what it is. But the injury report just says questionable back, and that was just about 30 minutes ago.
Old man chucking that bitch as much as you've been the past couple games.
I can't do it like I used to.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was back spasms, but that's good to hear that Ausar Thompson is going to play tonight against the Golden State Warriors in LCA. Pistons are at home trying to go for 6 in a row. What are your keys to victory against the Warriors?
Well, look, I think that Cade Cunningham cannot do what he did against Brooklyn. I think that he has to be the lead force offensively. And he obviously knows that, and I expect that. So that's where I have a lot of confidence in Cade. I need him. I think he's going to have to score 28 points plus in order for this team to get a win. So I'm looking at him. And then again, I'm also looking at Beasley, because if Hardaway is either questionable or out, that now puts a lot of pressure on Beasley to be a shooter. I'm not at the point yet where I can expect a guy like Tobias or Tech to come in and shoot, although Tech came off a hot game, so you'd like to see that continue. But just going off realistic expectations, it has to be Beasley, who's been in a little bit of a slump. He broke it yesterday. I think he shot pretty decently yesterday, but he's still been for a while now. He's been in a little bit of a shooting slump. So those are absolutely my keys are just, especially offensively. It has to be Cade Cunningham leading the charge and Beasley being a number 2. You have to see Beasley get in the 20-plus point range this game for me.
Yeah, I put the Spenny lock on Beasley 4+ threes. No, never doubt. Never doubt on that one.
I gotta publicly apologize to you.
He hit 3 in the first half, and Chris was like, "Damn, Spenny, I should have tailed. Should have known you were." And then he didn't hit his last one until like a minute left in the game or something like that.
I know,
but he got it done, and that's what matters. Obviously, he led the team in scoring with 23. I might do the Cade. I might do a Cade like over points, over assists.
25 and 8 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I think he needs to have an offensive game where
he needs
he's like
to have
the
a big
force.
game. Yeah. I think because who are they going to guard him with? Draymond's not going to guard him. Who's what's that dude's name? The ginger for I can't remember his name.
Pajemski.
Pajemski.
I think he's actually out. Actually.
Is Gary Payne the third still?
I think Gary Payne's still out. So I know Buddy Hield is starting and Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder is going to be the one on him because he's a good defender. He's a good defender.
He's a good defender, but he's not good enough. He's a short guy. Cade will back him down and hit hooks over him all fucking day. He's a little baby. Yeah, I'm about to hit that right now. Let me see what that looks like. Nick, what do you need to see out of the Pistons tonight? Going for 6 in a row.
Going for 6 in a row. I mean, they're favored in this game, right?
They are favored.
And the line has been moving in positively.
Yeah,
it was minus 1.5
right now.
Now
They are. Oh no, they're not.
They're not
Underdogs,
favored anymore.
No,
underdogs?
they're plus 2.5.
Wow, that flipped.
Okay.
Because earlier this morning it was 1.5. Then it moved to 3.5 minus.
Take that.
Yeah, I would.
Their money
absolutely.
line is plus 128.
Oh, dude, anytime you get Pistons money line right now, yeah, dude.
Plus
come on.
2.5 is
taking
minus 108.
Yeah, I'm
Must
taking the
mean
money
some
line.
big
I'll take the
money
money
has
line.
been coming in on the Warriors, fellas. I think that's what that means. I got to see Cade Cunningham take over. I mean, he didn't play in the fourth quarter for a reason. You were blowing out the other team. Cade Cunningham needs to play like a superstar. And these are the type of games, like the matchups that you look for, like a Cade versus Steph. This is what, I mean, realistically, it's the storyline for an all-NBA type move. Like when the storylines start building, you already did it against Anthony Edwards. Now let's do it against Steph Curry. These are the type of things the NBA likes to see. So I think Cade Cunningham having a really big game against the Warriors, and specifically Stephen Curry, that's going to be the big deal in this one if we want to win.
Here's another key that's funny,
35
but also
and
true.
10, Cade. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, I love that. I
got Cade 2+ made threes.
Yes.
Cade 25 points plus Cade 10+ assists. It's plus 291.
Yeah, no, I would even maybe stretch that to 28 points and 3 threes. I would.
I was thinking 3 threes.
I would honestly go there. But you're right. I mean, with Schroeder being smaller, maybe it is a back to the basket type of game.
I think he's going to see a lot of that.
I will say this is a joke, but also true. Isaiah Stewart, key to success. Don't let Draymond Green get under your skin.
Yeah.
Don't crash out over Draymond Green.
That is a good point.
We need you this game, Beef Stew. We absolutely need you. It's a team that goes small, so you won't have to deal with, a big center like a Jokic, a big burly center. They're going to go small, so that's a matchup that Stewart can thrive in, as long as Draymond Green doesn't get under his skin and make him crash out.
Yeah. Raise the sail. I'm going with Cade Cunningham, 2+ made threes. Cade Cunningham, 25+ points. Cade Cunningham, 10+ assists. I was looking at the 12+ assists too, and that's plus money, so I might sprinkle a little bit on there. But I like that. Straight bets and a parlay. All right, let's go to break. We'll come back. We'll see you later. Tell us about Jars.
Jars Cannabis.
All right, Woodward sports fans, whether you're heading the game or just chilling, Jars Cannabis has you covered. Jars is home to the largest lineup of rec cannabis. You've got 27 locations across the state, repping Michigan in a big way. 9 locations are right here in Metro Detroit, so there's always one nearby. And if you're in Grand Rapids, Madison Heights, or Milan, get ready. New stores are coming your way soon.
And let me tell you about Sabbath Coffee Roasters, deliciously roasted specialty coffee dropped off right at your doorstep. Again, a Michigan company. Support local, support Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Use code word Woodward to get 25% off your first subscription order at SabbathCoffeeRoasters.com. Wake up, enjoy the best coffee you can with Sabbath Coffee Roasters. All right, we got give me one mailbag question in here before we get out of here. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Make sure you smash the like button. First mailbag question to come up gets read. Man, when do the Wings play next? The Wings play
Friday against the Blackhawks.
Blackhawks on Friday at home?
Is it up?
Is it in LCA or is it in Chicago?
I think it's at home.
We should spank the Blackhawks. Oh
Yeah.
man, if we win tonight. If the Pistons win tonight,
yeah,
I'm very confident the Wings will beat the Blackhawks, and I'm very confident the Pistons will beat the Raptors.
Yeah.
We could be 7-0 and 6-0. But dude, that would be so amazing.
I'm telling you, we're not losing until the Tigers come back, baby. Lock it in.
Oh man, that's just great
Lock
stuff.
it in.
Mailbag, Spencer. I'm glad that the Pistons hate is gone now because there was a lot of it last year.
Well, there was a lot to hate.
There was a lot to hate last year. Yeah, there's a lot to hate. And a quick one, mailbag. Best chirp you got, best one you gave. Ooh. I don't know. Sorry. That'll do it for us
That's
today.
a
Appreciate
tough
you
one.
tapping in. Away fan, appreciate you. That was a tap. That was a tough one. Appreciate you all tapping in. Make sure you smash that like button. For Nick, for Chris, I am Spencer. We are the Heavyweights. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.